Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. My name's Nissa. I'm the owner of Magic of Paws. I'm here to help you help your pets. And what I wanted to go over today was we have had to make some changes to some services. And I figured it would probably be easier for me to pop on and talk to you about it live and send out an email with the video rather than me typing this all up and sending it out in an email and then getting a bunch of questions back. So, what's up? What's changing? So, as I'm sure you've all noticed, the cost of everything has been going up, and that goes double for us in the pet care industry, especially our in home services. We're seeing a huge rise in our costs. So, most pet care services across the world are kind of faced with this dilemma of, do they raise prices? Do they reduce their service area? What do they do? And I want to make sure that I don't do either of those. So, in order to make that happen, what I've done is taken the services that we've already offer and streamlined them a little bit. So, the biggest changes are coming with our in home services and our transportation services. If you don't use either of those services, feel free to tune out and not pay attention to a single thing that I am about to say, because that is really all that's impacted by this. Nothing's changing at the kennel, for daycare or boarding or grooming or even for training. None of that's changing. The only thing that's changing are in home services. So, what's the big difference? The major thing you're going to notice is that if you book online, your options are going to look different. So, as opposed to seeing sitting visits and midday visits with basic and premium options for both, you're going to see in home visits as the overall service with sitting visits, midday visits, and litter box cleaning, all included under that one category. That's the biggest thing visually that you're going to see. The services themselves are not really changing. They're going to look a little bit different on the back end and when you're booking, but as a whole, they're not really changing much at all. The biggest thing you're going to notice is that certain services are only available at certain times of day. And the other thing that you'll notice is that they'll get um, that we're no longer doing basic and premium versions of it. We are just offering what was formerly known as our basic service. So just one level of service for the visits. The reasoning behind getting rid of the premium option is it makes our day a lot easier to schedule if every visit's about the same length. Whereas premium visits could kind of throw a wrench in the works if a dog really didn't cooperate for their nails or, was really shedding. So we did a lot of brushing. That could really impact how long we were at a particular service. And it could create a domino effect for the rest of the day. So, sitting visits are going to be, um, let me take a step back here. So, sitting visits are visits that are focused mainly on husbandry. So, feeding, medications, that sort of stuff. They are now only available from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. The reasoning for that is that these services tend to take us a little bit longer because we're not just feeding and giving water, we're bringing in the newspaper, we're changing water, doing feedings, medications, potty breaks for dogs, cleaning litter boxes, and doing spot cleaning for small animal cages. We're playing with all the animals, checking them over to make sure they're happy and healthy. We're giving them treats, catnip, we're sanitizing after we're done, we're watering plants, checking external doors and windows. We're changing the lighting arrangement and we're checking the perimeter. So there's a lot that goes into a sitting visit. Most of the time, we could get that done in 30 minutes and get to our next appointment, No problem. But what we were noticing is that when we were trying to do sitting visits in the middle of the day, sandwiched between all of the walks that we were trying to do, it was just a little too tight. And we were cutting our sitting visits short, not providing as much attention to the animals as we would like to do. So, by switching them to being just in the morning and just in the evening, that gives us a lot more time to breathe and spend time with your pets. Okay. I'm dumping a lot on you there. If you have any questions at any point in this live, just go right ahead, drop them in the comments, and we'll get to them during this presentation. It's going to be information dense, and I am sorry about that. So the other thing that you'll notice with, let's go back. Sorry. Midday visits instead are focused on enrichment and exercise, and they are only available between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. So the primary time that we are requested for walks in the middle of people's working day. Hold on one second. Okay, to make sure that's, I will do it after, just give them their dog. Yep. Business owner question, sorry. So midday visits are focused on enrichment and exercise. They're between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m., which is when most people are working. So that's when most dogs need the most exercise or enrichment because they're bored, they're home alone, they need that potty break, but they need a little bit more than that. So, what's included in the midday visits are playtime and a walk, or a walk. Some dogs want one or the other. We'll check their water, give them food or medications if they require a midday, if they require a lunch or a midday medication of any kind, as well as providing some high quality treats, and we provide our own poop bags. So that's the big difference between the two visits. And really, the big change that's coming for those is that time restraint. So, by doing midday visits in that most popular time of the day, focusing just on walks and getting that enrichment and exercise, it allows us to get more dogs in that time frame, as well as to give them a better quality walk because we're not cutting visits short because we've had a sitting visit thrown in the middle there. Okay. Prices aren't changing. Only thing that's changing are the availability times and how they're booked on Ginger. So how they're booked on Ginger is you're going to see that they're booked for 45 minutes. The actual visit length depends on the animals that we're dealing with and the day. So we will, in the case of sitting visits, we'll leave when all the tasks are completed and the animals don't care about us anymore, or whenever we need to leave to get to our next appointment, whichever's first. Similarly, with midday visits, we will walk for as long as the dog wants to walk, or play for as long as the dog wants to play, or until we need to leave to get to our next scheduled visit, whichever's first. That hasn't changed. That's always been what we've done. But I just wanted to clarify that because you used to, when you go into Ginger, it would show as a 30-minute appointment. Now they're 45-minute appointments because that allows us to kind of put some travel time right in the appointment as opposed to kind of leaving a blanket, like, who knows how long of a travel time. So we used to put 30 minutes of travel time between each appointment. Now we're not putting gaps between the appointments. You can book the appointments back to back, and the travel time's kind of booked in with the cushion that we have in the longer visits. Is this all making sense? You guys have any questions, please ask them, and I will answer them as quickly as I can. The other thing that we're seeing in here are our litter box cleaning. A lot of people didn't know we had this service because it was hiding under pet concierge services. I don't know why I did that. Actually, I do know why I did that because it wasn't really a sitting visit and wasn't really a midday visit. So now that they're all under in-home visits, makes it a little bit easier. So offer a litter box cleaning service. Those appointments are 15 minutes in length. If it takes longer than 15 minutes to scoop your litter boxes, we have a bigger problem. So those are available anytime during our opening hours, and they are scheduled now. They used to just be kind of done whenever we could make it happen. So that includes litter box cleaning and sanitizing any equipment that we use. The other big change that's coming is to our midday visits, and really any visit that involves a dog. And that's going to be that we are switching to using long leads. So the reasoning behind this is that dogs find walks way more enriching if they're allowed to explore and sniff, check things out. And that's so much easier to do when we give them 10, 15, 20, 30 feet as opposed to 6 feet. So by giving them a longer lead, we're giving them more freedom to explore, and it'll actually make them tired more so than a regular walk. So the walks that we have been doing, we have been allowing them to sniff and all of that. But because they've been on a 6 foot lead, they can only go so far and only explore so much. So they've only really been getting tired on a physical level. By switching to using a long lead whenever possible, we're going to be getting them tired on a mental level as well. So, which is super important for keeping our dogs happy, healthy, and enriched. So there are some requirements in order for us to be able to do that safely. One of them is that we require a harness that's properly fitted for your dog. So not too small, not too big, can't slip out of it. The reasoning for that is if they run to the end of the lead and there's that sudden jerk that they get when they get to the end, the 15 feet or whatever it is, I would much rather that pressure be on their chest than on their neck. Ideally, that doesn't happen because of how we manage them while they're on a lead. We, give them lots of treats for staying close by and checking in with us. But squirrels happen, chipmunks happen. So I'd rather them be on a harness to protect that dainty little neck of theirs. The other part of it is that every town in our service area has different criteria for what constitutes as a leash. So the length of the leash that we use will be dependent upon what town you live in. So like here in North Yarmouth, there's no restrictions. I could honestly go out there with 100 feet and be just fine, but I'm not that crazy. So we'd be using at maximum a 30-foot lead. Other towns that have no restrictions are Gray, New Gloucester, and Wyndham. However, if you are in Cumberland or Yarmouth, their length restriction is 15 feet. If you're in Freeport, it's 8 feet. And if you're in Brunswick, nothing's going to change for you because their definition of a leash is 6 feet. No fun. If I didn't mention your town, it's just because it didn't pop into my head off the top of my head. Those are the ones that I know really well. No, I lied. New Gloucester is 30 feet. That's their requirement. Anyway, there are not all dogs that we walk will be suitable for this sort of walk. If you have a dog that scavenges a lot and has a really poor leave it, we may keep them on a shorter lead just for their safety because we don't want them getting into something that will make them sick. If they're 15 feet away from us, it's a little bit harder to tell what they're getting into. So we may gradually expand how long of a lead we give them. But if they choose to scavenge most of the time on their walk, chances are they're going to be on a shorter lead than others. The other restriction to this would be if you're on a really super busy road. So if you're on a state highway, a state route, we're probably not going to use a longer lead just for safety. We don't want them wandering into traffic. However, if our route is less traveled with plenty of space for them to explore along the side, which is honestly most of our route, most of our dogs are in this situation, we are going to use a longer lead. So yay. The other part of that, because we are switching to using longer leads, we have more safety concerns to take into account. And one of those is visibility. So if it's dark, foggy, snowing, whatever it is, it's not safe for us to walk on a public road, especially with a long lead. I mean, it's not safe on a short lead either. If it's, if it's snowing like crazy or super dense fog, the invisibility is super poor. It's never been safe for us to walk, but now we're kind of putting it firmly in stone that if visibility is really poor, we are not going to be walking dogs on a public road. We'll still walk them and take them out for potty breaks, play with them in the yard, whatever that might be. But we're just not going to walk along public roads where we can get hit by somebody who's not paying attention or can't see very well because of the visibility. So that's it for the in-home visits. The other thing that we are working on implementing, it's going to take me a little bit longer to do on the back end, is changing how we charge for the transportation to and from the resort. So we've been charging a flat rate of $3, whether you live across the street or you live at the complete far end of our service area. And that's not really feasible for us right now. So, especially with gas prices the way that they are. So, what we're going to be doing is changing to be charging by the mile. I don't know for sure what that rate's going to be yet, and I'm not sure when I'm going to be implementing it because, like I said, it's going to take a little while to figure out on the back end. But we will be changing to charging by the mile, just so it's a little bit fairer. So some of you may see your rate go up. Some of you will see your rate go down. But that way it's just a little bit easier for us to swallow as far as these rising gas prices go. But yeah, so that's all I got. Yes, Hunter and his nose definitely will appreciate the longer lead. Hunter is 100% a sniffy dog. He loves to smell everything, but he's gonna love it. I think, all honesty, most dogs are gonna love the change to a long lead. It's gonna give them a lot more freedom. They'll they'll get a lot more out of their walks. And in all honesty, these walks are for them. So we don't go on dog walks because we need the steps. By the end of the day, we've covered our steps and then some. This is really just to get them out, get them exploring, and get them enjoying their environment. So we want to make sure that they're enjoying it and that they're getting the most out of the experience because that's what matters the most. Anyway, I think that's everything. I think I'm going to sign off of this and then remember, like, oh, I forgot to tell them about fill in the blank. Look at that. I remembered it before I did. The other thing that you're going to notice is that because all these changes are happening for the in-home visits, I've changed my training schedule a little bit. Basically, if you book your dog in for training while they're here for boarding or daycare, you're now going to select a time slot for me to work with them, as opposed to just kind of like, hope you get to it, Nissa. Now it's actually going to be scheduled on my calendar. So, yeah. Anyway, that is it. That's all I've got for you all today. Sorry, I've been playing with my glasses. They're a little too big for me. And also sorry for my mess of an office and sorry for the cat scratches on my face. It's been a week. And by a week, I mean like a month or more. But we're here, we're doing it, we're getting this all done. So please, if you're watching this on the replay, go ahead, leave those questions down in the comments and we will answer them as soon as we get to them. And if you have questions that come up later, even if you've been watching this live, go ahead and drop them down there. We'll answer it right away. Anyway, I am going to sign off, and I will see you all later. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye, everybody.